I don't think flying without any prior experience is as hard as people say it is. You just gotta wing it. What's going on, YouTube? Today we are doing our ultimate experience guide. We're going to break down the best methods, whether you have DLCs versus don't have DLCs, whether you're doing it solo, whether you're doing it with a person, whether you want your companion to also receive experience and how they can also be beneficial or a bit of a hindrance. We're going to talk about sets that are good to use. We're going to talk about daily routines because there are certain things that I recommend doing every day, even if you're short on time, because they'll give you bonus XP. But once you've done them one time, you're not going to get as much XP. We're going to have chapters in the description below. You'll be able to jump around from place to place if you need to. We do very short intros. If you wouldn't mind, hit the like and subscribe button, and let's jump into it. First thing I want to actually break down is how is your experience calculated? So right now, there is a 100% experience boost. This is 100% passive. You don't need to go out and do anything. Every type of content you do will now give you plus 100% experience. This will stack with every other method for experience in the game, such as if you are using training traits. But this is a great segue to training traits because this confuses people because training trait only increases the amount of XP gain for kills. So if you're out there, doing wimbly bimbly content like you're doing your daily dungeons, you're doing your daily battlegrounds, the completion for those is not going to be affected by having training traits. So you don't have to run a battleground with the training trait active. Now, if you're farming dungeons per se, then potentially you're going to get more experience because you're going to be killing things, hopefully. You're going to be contributing to the overall team composition where you're getting experience. But when it comes to certain types of content, it's just important to know which training traits are necessary and which ones aren't. And any event XP will also be able to be continuously stacked with not only the training trait, but also Psijic Ambrosius or any other currency of experience gain that you have. If you logged in, got an experience scroll, bada bing, bada boom, you can activate that during a double XP event, and those two things will stack. And they'll also stack on top of your training trait. Next, let's talk about some good set options for you. Heartland Conqueror is the most popular because it doubles the bonus of whatever weapon you're using, and one of those bonuses is the training trait. So you'll get double the training trait bonus by using Heartland Conqueror. My personal favorite set for leveling from 10 to 50 is Twiceborn because as you level up and your gear gets weaker based on your character level, your sets are going to become weaker. But the 5-piece bonus of wearing 2 Mundus Stones does not get weaker, so you don't have to change out your XP gear as often. Also note too, Twiceborn and Heartland Conqueror make a really good 10 to 50 Battlegrounds combo. Just change, instead of using the training trait, change some pieces to Impen, Reinforced, and Well Fitted, and you'll have a pretty decently competitive Battleground set that you can farm Battlegrounds from 10 to 50. That's actually my favorite way to level up. Other really popular crafted sets are Adept Rider because getting to places faster, killing things faster by closing the gap can also be very helpful. And the set that I have been testing out currently, Macabre Vintage, which is the new Gold Road set, which is selling dirt cheap because they pretty much gave everybody with Gold Road a copy of it for free, and everybody that doesn't have a copy of Gold Road can now buy it in Deshawn for pennies. But basically, it acts almost like Vicious Death, but on enemies that are NPCs. So this is a really nice set by being able to blow up enemies around you, making farming specific areas a little bit easier. And as we go through different XP methods here for the rest of the video, I'm going to note as we go, these are ones that benefit primarily from having the training trait. These are ones that you don't necessarily have to have them, and these are ones where you essentially receive no benefit by using the training trait. And some quick, helpful, universal skills. I absolutely love Storm Pulsar from the Destro line, but besides that, just use any AoE ultimate to go with it and execute to help finish the stragglers, and you'll usually be pretty much A-okay. Another good option too is Cleave, because if you find yourself farming solo areas, you can morph it into the Brawler morph, which will give you a little bit of extra shield every time you hit an enemy. And we're going to start with our rapid fire list of these are the best things that you can do if you're short on time or you're limited on time, or if you just don't want to farm experience in any sort of serious grinding matter and you want to do a variety of content. Numero uno is you can not only do your daily crafting writs, which you can see we have here, you can also do master writs. This is not going to be affected by the training trait and you don't have to worry about getting training gear to do so. Next is your daily battleground, which also will give you tons of extra XP if you only do your first one per day. However, you don't need to use the training trait, and I would highly discourage you from using the training trait. You can still use the Heartland Conqueror mixed with the Twiceborn set if you're in the 10 to 50 battleground range, but instead, switch the Heartland Conqueror over. Instead of a training trait, utilize instead the Sharpen or the Nernhold trait on it, and then for the Twiceborn Mundus, you want to use something if you're low on health, give yourself extra health, in addition to max magicka, stamina, or you can also look at spell damage or weapon damage as well. Next up is your random daily dungeon, which if you are low level will actually be very easy for you because the lower the level you are, the less annoying the dungeon you can queue for. Most of the annoying dungeons are locked to the higher levels in the queue finder. The training trait is going to be slightly helpful in these dungeons. Some of them give decent experience by killing the mobs there. It's something you could consider, but likely if you're farming experience by doing your random normal dungeon, you probably don't need to worry about it. And if you are farming experience by doing your random normal dungeon, battleground, and your writs, you're probably just trying to get the most amount of XP anyway, so I wouldn't really worry about what you're wearing. And this is also a great way to get transmutes in addition to battlegrounds. This is also a great transmute farm. Next up is your ranked competitive or unranked casual Tales of Tribute Master Purse. The reason I chuckle is that while the Master Purse is nice, 93,000 experience, for what can be sometimes a very long game, is not always worth it, but the gold rewards coffer can be worth it, but this is definitely an XP video, so this is more of like an honorable mention or dishonorable because 93,000 experience is not even going to compare to some of the things you're going to see next. Next is the mathematical best XP you can get per hour, and that is farming Black Rose Prison on round 2 on repeat. Now, you're going to see me go through this here, and just a couple quick tips for you if you are farming this either for the first time. This is actually the best duo method, but you can also do it with a companion. Sometimes doing it with a companion, though, makes it a bit cattywampus to try to bunch all the mobs together, but there are a bunch of ranged mobs anyway, which will then attack other things because you've got a companion there and not you. So it could be a bit of a double-edged sword in a good and a bad way. Important to know, too, feel free to use the sigils as you go and do this actual round because at the end of the day, your goal is to die at the end, and you're going to do this round on repeat. Now, what you're going to be looking for is the man with the shield. Once he comes out and you've killed everything else, minus the flame atros, because they'll just continually respawn, that's when you die, respawn, and then go back at it again. Next up is the free base game version of the Black Rose Prison. Less experience, and it also can be a bit annoying to use your companion because they're definitely going to take mob aggro away and put them in all sorts of cattywampus places. But that's Skyreach Catacombs inside of Craglorn. There are 3 main areas that you're going to want to stop to do here, including 2 stairwell areas and a chest that you're going to stop at. This is also a great method to do with another person, and it's important to know that you certainly can do this with a companion, and your companion is going to get a percentage of all of the experience that you're going to get, but companions sometimes don't understand the method of, hey, we need to kind of bunch all these guys together. If you do this solo, it can be pretty annoying to kind of activate the chest here, so sometimes it's easier to skip the ghosts if you're doing the solo, go straight to the chest, activate it, blow all the enemies up there, loot the chest, and then go to the final area. And feel free to reference the map on screen when it comes to where should you stop. There's no necessarily wrong way to do this, and the nice thing about this is you can flip the instance between veteran and normal to then reset the instance so you can go right back in immediately. It's not as good as Black Rose Prison where you just die and start all over again, but it is still a great method. For both of these methods, though, too, I would encourage you to have repair kits on you because you are going to be taking considerable damage, even if you are a high-level character. Next up is Spellscar, which is also inside of Craglorn and also can benefit from using a companion, but they can also kind of take some mobs away from you, but it also suffers from a bit of a new problem that's not come up yet in any of our other ones, and that is, if other people are farming this, as it was when I was recording this video, it can completely throw the whole area out of whack. So I put on screen the optimal way that you were supposed to farm it. However, it oftentimes during double XP events is not going to be able to be optimally farmed because there's so many people here because the experience is so good. I would even argue that it's probably faster than Skyreach Catacombs just because of the mob density and how fast that they can respawn. This one still benefits from doing it with a group. You can do it solo, and it doesn't require any DLC, so from that aspect, it is very good. It's really just the competition that make this a bit of a sticky wicket. Next up is the Alikr Dessert, which is the most popular XP methods. If you ever just on a new character and you just wanted to farm experience and get them leveled up, this is where you're going to find the majority of players, whether they're low level, high level, mid player level, they're all going to be here. And the reason for that is Alikr Dessert is very easy to farm. It's always running in a clockwork rotational basis. The dolmens are very close to way shrines, as you can see as I'm farming here on screen. And the other nice thing too is you don't need to worry about training traits. In fact, you really don't even need to worry about a whole lot because there's so many people that farm this even outside of double XP events. Now, you will get bonus with your training trait as you kill the Daedra around the anchors, but when the anchor completes and the world boss completes, as you will see throughout this clip here, you get the same amount of experience regardless of if you're using the training trait because the experience is coming from a world event completion versus you killing something specific. And you may see people typing LFDG in chat. That means that they're looking for Dolmen Group. Those are people who are grouping up to farm this together. You can certainly do that. You can farm it solo. It's totally up to you. If you do farm in a group, you're going to get more hits on more enemies usually because during double XP events, there could be quite a few people there. So you probably will get more experience if you are in a group, but it's certainly not necessary. But it can make it a little bit more smooth. You're going to also get tons of jewelry. Feel free to deconstruct all of the jewelry that you get from there and quick sell the majority of the items that you're getting or break them down if you would want to. And if you ever need help going to the Alikr Dessert, I always like to first check any of the guilds that I'm in, search in alphabetical order to see if anybody's there, fast travel to them. But you can always ask for a taxi in chat, and players like myself, players like the people in the comment section, be more than willing to help you out. Next up is Crimson Cove inside of Malbator. Now, this is a great public dungeon because it's not necessarily as traveled as often as some of the other more popular farming locations. It still will see a few players pop in and out, but you're also going to get a little bit more free time inside of there. Also, too, you're going to be finding tons of treasure chests. You're going to be killing bosses every so often if you would so choose to, giving you a bunch of resources that you can choose to either quick sell or to deconstruct based on whatever goal you are currently trying to achieve. I could definitely recommend Crimson Cove, especially if some of these other areas are currently full. There's great mob density and great experience. This is definitely one where the training trait is going to be helpful for you. And I feel like I have to include this one. It's the Vile Manse. Now, the Vile Manse is usually known as the best area to get gold. And that's because most people know that if you are an Imperial, you get a bunch of extra gold. But also people don't know that if you kill Imperials, you get a bunch of extra gold. You can usually get between 15 to 20,000 gold per hour just by farming experience inside of the Vile Manse. That certainly can add up, especially on console where inflation is significantly lower, making the Vile Manse a great place to go, and it's very circular for you to be able to navigate yourself through and just consistently run in a big loop. You oftentimes may find other players running through there, especially if there is a double XP event active, or like currently right now where there's also a double gold method active, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it's not usually as traveled. This sometimes can be a bit finicky if you are using a companion, depending on how you pull your mobs, but not to the same detriment as places like Skyreach Catacombs. It is also one where you are going to benefit from things such as training trait, and also make sure if you are going here, go to your champion skill line and make sure you've got your gold gained all the way up. Next up, we have the Vile Laboratory inside of Cold Harbor, which is great because it's in Cold Harbor, there's not as much competition like there is in places like Craglorn. Craglorn suffers from the problem of, well, the sets here are pretty good, so if I'm farming Spellscar, I might as well be there. Plus, if I pick up stuff off the ground, I can get potent urn cruxes, Or if you're in a public dungeon where there's a bunch of chests, like some of the public dungeons we've covered, the Vile Laboratory is just a great place to go because the mobs spawn really quickly. It's a decent access to some okay-ish loot, from killing them. And overall, it's just a pretty simplistic place to farm. And to wrap off, we're just going to give some quick rapid-fire honorable mentions if you're interested in going to some other places that might not be as traveled as the current ones that we've mentioned in this video. The newest one of that is definitely the Left Wheel Trading Post because it is inside the newest zone of Westweld over here inside the public dungeon. Another honorable mention, as you can see by the dead bodies here, is inside the Alikr Dessert, an old but gold area, the Molotellonian Necropolis. And to wrap us off, we're inside the Obsidian Scar, inside of Rivenspire, which is a really nice circular public dungeon that you can run with very little foot traffic. But everyone, thank you guys so much again for watching. I'm going to keep this conclusion short because the video is definitely a little bit longer than normal. Thank you guys so much again for watching. As always, we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you have to do to enter is leave a comment in the comments below. Second thing is, you just make sure you're subscribed/follow on Twitch and Twitter. And the third thing, look for a hidden word to be flashed upon the screen. If you're the first person to comment that word, you will win. Thank you guys so much again, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.